Hello, hello! I'm talking today about the Saxon warrioress, Aethelflaed. She was born circa 870, the eldest daughter of King Alfred the Great of Wessex and Aelswë of Mercia. When Aethelflaed was born, England was merely a concept in her father's mind. It was, of course, King Alfred who rallied the dispirited Anglo-Saxon peoples and narrowly prevented a total Viking conquest of their kingdoms. One of Alfred's crucial allies in the struggle was Aethelred, Lord of the Mercians, who clung to but a rump of a once great kingdom, and accepted Alfred's superiority circa 882. Just a few years later, Aethelred married his new overlord's daughter, Aethelflaed, thus sealing their allegiance and conjoining the fates of their people. Although she was young, perhaps 16 at the time of the marriage, Aethelflaed took a keen interest in Mercian politics, and she quickly took hold of her position there. She worked alongside her husband to re-establish Mercia's power and prestige, so long eroded by Viking expansion. With their capital at Gloucester, they actively refortified damaged towns, founded and rebuilt ruined churches, and ensured that their influence was felt throughout Mercia and even beyond. In 899, King Alfred died, leaving the kingdom of Wessex to Aethelflaed's brother Edward. Around the same time, Edward either lost or put aside his first wife Edwin, and from the records we have, it seems that their only son, Aethelstan, was moved to the Mercian court to be raised by his aunt. If so, then Aethelflaed would have been directly responsible for her nephew's care and education, in which case we have to give her credit for raising the man who became not only the first king of England, but also one of the greatest kings that England ever had. In his later years, Aethelflaed's much older husband suffered waning health, increasingly leaving the able Aethelflaed to take the reins of Mercian government herself. It was she who received the supposedly recalcitrant Viking Ingemundr and permitted his company to settle in Mercian lands, probably on or near the Wirral. It was also Aethelflaed who shrewdly fortified nearby Chester, so that when Ingemundr predictably turned on his host and attacked that town, he and his Viking allies were defeated in epic fashion. In 911, at the death of her sickly husband, Aethelflaed officially took sole power in Mercia. Her brother, King Edward of Wessex, was technically still her overlord, but he must have trusted her implicitly. They went on to work closely together to fortify a whole string of important burghs along their borders, and to apply consistent pressure to the Viking leaders beyond their lands. As Lady of the Mercians, Aethelflaed was widely respected and feared. She was said to don armor and lead her troops in person at times, and she was honored as a queen in all but name. By her strength and dedication, she proved the might of Mercia on many occasions. In 916, when the Mercian abbot Egbert was murdered in Brechenjog, Aethelflaed promptly avenged him by sending an army to invade the neighboring kingdom. Her forces destroyed the regal Crannog on Langorse Lake, and captured most of Brechenjog's royal court. Lady Aethelflaed followed one bold exploit with another. Much of what had once been Mercia was still under heavy Viking occupation, and worse, the Jarls in charge there were constantly shifting allegiances and shirking their truces, making a long-term peace with them impossible. So, in 917, Aethelflaed seized the initiative and launched a daring assault on the Viking-held borough of Derby. The fighting there was ferocious, and she lost 4 of her most beloved thanes in the carnage. But the campaign was successful, and Derby was duly returned to Anglo-Saxon administration. This shocking result upset the balance of power in the whole region. King Edward was able to press his advantage, and he chased several other Viking leaders from their boroughs. The Jarl of Leicester was so intimidated that he surrendered without a fight the following year. Lady Aethelflaed was at the height of her power. She was known and revered throughout Britain, and her fearsome reputation seems to have persuaded kings from far afield as Strathclyde and Alba to seek her alliance. Even the long independent Viking kingdom of York was prepared to submit to her, but alas, their talks were cut short by Aethelflaed's untimely death at Tamworth on 12 June 918. Her only child was a daughter called Aelfwine, who seems to have been touted as her mother's successor in Mercia. But her uncle King Edward had other plans. Probably hoping to stymie thoughts of Mercian independence, he had Aelfwine removed to Wessex in December, after which he reigned solely over all the Anglo-Saxons. Meanwhile, Lady Aethelflaed had been laid to rest at Gloucester, beside her husband at St. Oswald's Minster, which they had founded together. That's the life of Lady Aethelflaed. Thank you so much for watching.